We are live.
GM.
Hello, SEDA community.
Do you want to join on here or do you want to join on your own?
I guess I'll join from my computer.
All right, let's do that. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the July Mainnet edition of the community call. Very exciting. Oh, getting Matt and Peter joining. GM, Matt.
How you doing, boys?
Hello.
Fantastic. All right, we've got a couple of team members in the background here.
Hello.
Locked in.
Yeah, we are at a little co-working space. Our office isn't big enough in the Netherlands to host all of us. I think we're 10 people right now in person. So the European group decided to come together for the mainnet launch to make sure everything went smoothly. And yeah, now we're just working on the last finishing touches to get all the rest of the components for mainnet live.
SEDA. Just checking that we've got links going out on all platforms.
For those of us that weren't at the undisclosed location, what were the vibes like? How was it the last 48 hours? Very exciting time.
Yeah, I mean, super exciting. I think I slept like roughly 3.5 hours last night. So it's definitely like there's lots to do at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like to finally be live on Mainnet, to give developers now access to any data in the world in seconds is pretty cool. So we're super excited to have Mainnet finally go live. It's been obviously a super long journey, for the entire team. We had this vision for what an Oracle could be and what we would basically create with SEDA. And, about 3 years ago, we basically created this sort of, pathway for ourselves to go towards building what we thought would be the future of Oracles. And, now after 3 years of execution, we've built basically a fully, permissionless and decentralized Oracle without making any trade-offs, in a major way across scalability or speed. So yeah, it's a big moment for the SEDA team, big moment also for the community. We've had a lot of people following us for many years, also our great backers as well across our cap table of investors. And so we're super excited. Vibes are good, feeling's good. Now the hard work starts. We're just getting started. I think we have about 100 networks that we're trying to slot in for releases on marketing. So it's getting a little bit crazy on the release side. So trying to figure out, where we can pop people in. And, now just working on getting the overlay network live. So after Mainnet went live, we have to have all the overlay validators basically register their public keys. So I think that's happening right now. We actually have another upgrade. RIP and shout out to the engineering team. Tonight at 4 a.m. Local time, we'll be up monitoring the network upgrade from basically V1 to V1.01 to basically introduce batch signing, which basically allows our team to essentially, or not our team, but our network to essentially verify data requests. So that the validator set essentially signs them before they're pushed cross-chain. So this will go live as well. So I think now we've reached the 80% quorum that we needed to have us go live. So it'll happen at 4 a.m. Tonight. And then basically from there, all validators have already started to register their identities for the overlay network. So now that will be finished hopefully by the end of the week. And then we have basically a week where we're just going to basically start to roll out all of our infra. We have all of our monitoring going live. And so right now the network is upgraded. The overlay network is being deployed. And then, you'll have to stay tuned. We have our first network announcement coming out very soon as well. And so we'll announce the first big community that we're coming into in a strong way. So yeah, we're excited. Vibes are good. And Matt, you're coming out of your paternity leave for one special day of Mainnet to be here with the team. How are you holding up?
Yeah, good. Definitely a little bit tired, but no, feeling very good. And I try and give myself 60 minutes to get on X every day and we'll post a bit of SEDA and stay in touch with the community. So feeling very good, feeling very excited that I got to watch Mainnet go live in amongst all the beautiful mayhem of paternity leave as well. And yeah, very excited to talk of what's coming here on out, because I know a lot of the community And shout out to the community, right? I mean, you said it. There's people been following us for years, and we've been talking a big game, and now it's here. So shout out for all those who have stayed along for the journey and to the new ones. I know there's been a lot of questions about like what's to come, which is why I popped in today. Took 60 minutes out of paternity leave to join here because I wanted to sort of talk about that. But I do have kids banging on my door left, right, and center. I have some older kids. So maybe we could jump to that question because I might have to.
Yeah. I mean, I had it penciled in for the end, but let's bring it forward. So, I mean, tell us, like, the marketing so far has been, essentially waiting for this mainnet event. Oh, he's gone. All right. Well, I will say that to the end. Oh, hang on, he's back. All right,
we got you.
I'm here. I'm still hotspotting. My unfortunately, my Starlink's still broken.
We'll call Elon and tell him about it.
Yeah, sort it out, mate.
Elon was he was too busy on Grok 4 with the waifu update to keep Starlink up and running.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, the question is, marketing has had a certain flavor, and we've been sort of waiting for the V1 to go live. Now everything changes. So can you give us basically the 101 of what's going to change, how that's going to impact the way that we sort of conduct our marketing from now on?
Yeah, 100%. I guess the high level answer is, you go from a story to proof, right? And like we've been really crafting the narrative. I'm really, really proud of the narrative we've put together. And it's basically been a combination of the three of us really going back and forth on Slack calls for hours, sometimes on a day, really crafting our narrative so that it reflects like the sort of true essence in a way that people could digest what SEDA is. And I think we've done a great job at that. People understand the internet on chain. People are excited about the internet on chain. And as they say, it's much easier to, obviously not the case for SEDA because we actually have a product, one of the very few sort of Web3 projects that actually has a real product. So I'm actually more excited about this transition from pre-product to post-product, if you like. And the reason I'm excited about that is because sort of the plan here on out is just to get this product, get SEDA in the hands of as many high ticket or high agency devs as we can. And we've got that pretty much locked in, right? I mean, the next 6 weeks, starting from the end of this month, is just rollout out of rollout. We go to one of the biggest networks at the end of the month, which we won't spill the beans today, but stay tuned for that. And then we set a cadence of 2 to 3 networks rolling out per week from that date. And basically what that's aiming to do is to get SEDA in the hands of developers, and then get the applications building and deploying the first Oracle programs with SEDA. And I don't know if you've ever driven a really fun motorcycle, like a motorbike, if you're into that kind of thing. But every time I've driven a really good motorbike, I've always gone and told a mate about it, right? And it's just what happens with good products, fun products, things that work, things that are enjoyable to use. And SEDA is just very much in that realm. So basically getting this into the hands of these apps, into some of the biggest ecosystems, which are already locked in, that will sort of start to have that snowball effect where other builders start talking. We can run some case studies and look at what people are building on SEDA, and then keep that spreading as we go through the biggest networks over the next sort of 6 to 7 weeks. And, from my experience with actual products in this space, which are few and far between, that snowballing effect is very, very huge. And then obviously we'll be reaching out to sort of different technical researchers who can start to see the product on chain and actually see what SEDA looks like on chain, see what the on-chain economy actually looks like in terms of like the SEDA token. And it'd be very good to see people get excited about that. And then you can expect, more sort of commentary around, the on-chain economy, on sort of data requests and kind of how everything functions that Peter's been very vocal about over the last 12 months, just basically being distributed. And I made a claim yesterday, the greatest Web3 applications from here on out will be powered by SEDA. And I stand by that. So the next 12 to 18 months, that's the goal.
Love it. Peter, you're a very in the trenches CEO. You're in crypto Twitter all day, every day, very involved in all the marketing discussions, all the growth discussions. From your point of view, what does it look like in terms of marketing from this product release?
Yeah, I mean, I think from our perspective, we, like Matt said, we've been very vocal about our products, right? And about the claims of what it can do. And I think there's sometimes a large disconnect in crypto behind what something is claimed to do and what it can actually do. And if you look at a lot of networks that have gone live, a lot of generalized L1s and L2s, they make huge claims for what can basically be powered and what can happen, with the actual, sort of product. And I think that with SEDA over the past 2 months with our testnet, we've just proved how powerful our product actually is in production. And now it's just basically rolling that over to Mainnet, right? So we've built a really great grassroots community of developers who have been building a lot of really cool use cases for their own protocols and their own ideas. So you have like a new class of entrepreneurs that are starting to come up and actually try to build businesses on top of SEDA. And on the other side, you have a lot of the largest Web3 protocols and TradFi companies in the world now also looking at what SEDA has to offer and making that switch over, building from their existing limiting Oracle infrastructure to go into this programmable model where they're really able to have a limitless development sort of surface area that they can build with. And so I think, for us, the next 12 to 18 months will just look like execution, right? We have a lot of the rollout sort of already set in stone. We've basically did our best to make sure that the rollout is sequential and that we have everything essentially lined up to go. So now it's just basically going live, deploying, and getting these use cases live. And like Matt said, I think some of the largest companies in Web3 today, they're so unsatisfied with their Oracle providers that they're actually trying to build their own Oracle internally. So they'd rather spend $5 to $10 million building their own Oracle solution, building their entire own team, when they're like a trading product, as an example, right? And so being able to just use SEDA and like shorten that to like a 30-minute build out time and be able to actually go back to the bare essentials to build their own product, focus on their own product market fit. It's just a really powerful tool, right? So I think I'm very excited. And also I think, we've been very vocal about the claims of SEDA. We started to prove it, on testnet already now about how flexible and fast it can be. And now, it's just doing that execution on mainnet as well.
It was really nice yesterday to see Matt jumping in a bunch of the channels and Telegram with different teams that we've had, letting everyone know that we're live. What, from your point of view, Peter, what's the reaction been from network partners and builders that there's this thing that we've been saying is coming, and now it's finally here? What is the reaction?
Yeah, it's a bit surreal. I mean, we've been working on this product, like I said, for a few years now, right? So we were in a very good spot that we built a Oracle before that found a lot of really great traction. We already built one of the best in class institutional grade Oracle services in crypto. So our first Oracle product, we grew that to over 3.5 billion in total value secured, and we powered about 150 billion in transaction value on chain with that Oracle. So our team is no stranger to building really large institutional grade products across crypto. And Jasper and I, we started in crypto building our own application for derivatives on startups. So I think what we're seeing now is sort of this full circle where we came from the application side, we came from the protocol side, we built out what we believed were user friendly facing applications to kind of market to real world use cases. Back then we had this crazy idea you can trade the equity of a private company just like you can trade a stock on Robinhood. Now, almost 8 years later, Robinhood is actually debuting this feature right now that you can buy SpaceX and OpenAI, through their platform. So it just goes to show, these tools are now starting to come out in a production sort of environment. And, with SEDA, I think that the reaction has been really good because they see the value. A lot of the existing Oracle infrastructure just is too limited for builders, and it's sort of the same copy paste DeFi, copy paste protocols, the same feeds, the same issues, the same latency across every chain. And we've had a few competitors that have gone live before us with their own unique solutions. I think that they can't compete with what we've just released. I think just the staggering difference just to cherry pick one use case, just crypto price feeds. The largest offering in crypto today is I think 2,600 feeds or something like that. Sounds like an impressive number when you compare it to Chainlink's 230 sort of streamable feeds, right? With this mainnet debut, developers now have access to over 2 million individual token feeds from thousands of data providers. Developers can come in and create exactly the feed they need, the exact latency, the exact structure, the exact pull or push request they need, and have everything totally made as a parameter for them. And you just can't do that with existing oracles, right? So you go from having a couple thousand feeds to having millions at your fingertips. And I just tweeted this maybe 20 minutes ago. By the end of the year, right now there's about 18.5 million tokens being tracked on CoinMarket at the moment. I believe that we'll be able to reach 20 million tokens tracked across the entire SEDA network. And so it just totally changes the game. So I think networks see this, developers sees this. There's no need for a middleman anymore. What Ethereum did to crypto by creating this permissionless smart contract layer where you can build execution and computation on top of a blockchain rail, we just did that same thing for data, right? So rather than building exactly with what the Oracle provides you, your Oracle can now be a smart contract and power exactly what you need, rather than being sort of a cut and paste sort of copy of what exists on every chain. So I think the reaction has been great. We have a lot of partners that are very excited on the network side, also on the protocol side. Like I said, we've been building some proof of concepts on testnet for some of the largest projects across Web3, with I think the largest one being over 50 billion in TVL at the moment. So we're very excited to start rolling out some of these solutions to mainnet. And it's great. It's a great feeling, of course, like to get these reactions from these partners. Like, it's a great feeling to have been so vocal about a product, to really have made really big claims about what we're doing with the Oracle space, and now to have this go live in an executable environment, to now show, hey, all of the claims that we made, they're backed up. Here they were on testnet, now they're on mainnet. And I think that that's a really exciting time for us.
Something you love to talk about, Matt, is skating to where the puck is going, and I think that's really coming to fruition now. The TradFi coming on chain has been the big narrative we've constantly talked about. We're seeing it develop in the last few months. It really is this meta trend in the space at the moment. Peter, how is SEDA uniquely positioned to support TradFi coming on chain?
Yeah, so there's like a few different ways that we're working with TradFi. I would say that the most ones that I'm interested in today would be around stocks coming on chain. So basically, like, a lot of providers like Backed, Shift, Collateralize, X stocks from Kraken, Robert Leshner, Superstate, that are all kind of taking their own stab at creating stocks on chain. They all have their own trade-offs. They all have sort of their own pros and cons. But in the end, what this means is that these tokens can then now be used as collateral inside of smart contract, inside of a sort of execution environment. So being able to create thousands of people. We have Edward coming on the stream. We have Luana that just came in as well. So slowly the team's filtering in from other meetings. But being able to create like sort of an executable environment with these feeds is really powerful. So today a lot of oracles claim to be able to support a couple hundred US stocks, a few ETFs, right? But in reality, if you go to their feed, as soon as the market goes out of sort of the active trading window, the feeds go stale, right? So as soon as in the sort of intraday trading, you have that 8-hour session for trading. If you have the pre-market, the aftermarket, and the 8-hour trading session overnight, it's totally stale. The data feed goes basically into a stable environment, and overnight you can't use that feed anymore for liquidations, for lending, whatever. So SEDA is the first Oracle to debut 24/5 feeds for over 9,000 US stocks and 2,500 ETFs. So we're very happy to be working with DXFeed and also Nobi to create some of these really powerful feeds for US stocks and ETFs. So I think that's one big feature that we're working on very hard. Another one is also asset tokenization, right? So being able to roll out an asset from basically start to finish, the entire pipeline, right? So getting that asset on chain, making sure the proper data sources are included, making sure that it's tracking the right type of asset on chain, making sure it's accounting for liquidations, for making sure it's like a dynamic loan to value ratio. These are all things that we have built in as sort of customizable features of our Oracle programs, and this just isn't possible with existing Oracle. So I think Matt, who jumped off now, I think he had a kid emergency pop up, but we're happy that we had him for a few minutes with us anyway today. Obviously he's been working really hard past 18 months to bring us to this point with our mainnet. So I'm happy he was able to share a few minutes on the stream with us today. But he's always said that basically most oracles bring the price on chain, but SEDA brings the entire context of the asset on chain. So SEDA doesn't just bring the price on chain. We bring the price, we bring the volume, we bring the depth, we bring the liquidity, we bring the venues, we bring corporate actions, dividends, stock splits, etc. And so it's a really powerful approach to building these assets in a sort of one-to-one way on chain, that I believe SEDA is the only Oracle that will be able to execute on in the next 5 years. And with what we've built, it's really a standard, right? So it's not an Oracle product. It's not a smart contract you deploy on a chain and then you have to update it on every single chain you go live on. You build it once, you build it on SEDA, and it's available on any network, 24/7 for any feed, right? And so this becomes this really, really powerful precedent. So I think, what we always say is like we're bringing the internet on chain. So now in seconds you can access any API. So we have billions of data points you can access through SEDA and make them all available in one easy to consume place across any network. So I think TradFi institutions love to work with us because we're way cheaper to work with because we don't have to build custom infrastructure over 10 months for you and say, hey, you need to pay us $5 million a year to maintain this, basically piece of shit smart contract across every chain you want to launch on. Where it's like, hey, we could probably build this for you really quickly. I message Ben, who's not a developer, by the way, and I say, hey, can you build an Oracle program that pulls this asset on chain and this frequency from this source? And by the end of the 30-minute pitch that we're talking to them, that Oracle program has gone live, and we're like, hey, by the way, that thing that one of our competitors quoted you 10 months and a couple million to build out is now live as a Oracle program on SEDA. It's now being pushed to base where you wanted to consume it, and that just totally changes the relationship. It's just a totally action first. There's no need to sort of spend months in preparation. And in the end, TradFi is really difficult. It's a different beast to work with. There's a lot of red tape you have to cut through. There's a lot of planning, a lot of execution, and being able to say hey, we're removing all the complexity. It's going to be live for you. There's going to be very low fees to maintain this. There's going to be a very easy way to upgrade this if you have more assets you want to power in the future. And being able to take them from proof of concept to a live use case in a matter of weeks instead of months is also extremely powerful. No other Oracle in crypto can do that.
Yeah, and we've been getting quite a lot of influx of other chains and networks now that we've gone live, reaching out. One of the questions on the back of that is, how easily can we horizontally scale? I know this is something that the traditional Oracle struggle with. You end up in a queue waiting to 6 to 9 months or more to get deployed to your chain to actually get access to basic price feeds. In terms of EVM and non-EVM chains, what does horizontal scalability look like for SEDA?
Yeah, for sure. So the EVM functionality that we've built out can scale to a new chain in a matter of minutes. We can have a solver, spun up and down in seconds. So we also have a tiered infrastructure approach. So many Oracles are sort of plug and play with one pricing. We offer, a bunch of different tiers to make sure that builders can get started with SEDA, from as little to as extreme as you want. And, I think, I guess it's a week and a half time, we'll announce our first large integration, which is going to be utilizing our enterprise grade sort of institutional infrastructure plan. And this is going to be sort of our largest chain to date that will support with sort of the entire suite of SEDA tooling. And for them, they're super happy to power builders with this sort of enterprise grade solution. But then for networks that are just starting out, we help them get started within minutes with SEDA. So we hear that all the time. We'd love to build this use case. We have a new chain that's on testnet or just coming to mainnet. All the other Oracles want us to sign exclusivity agreements. They want us to lock in for a year. They want us to pay a bunch of money. We're not even sure if they have the data we need. They claim that they do. Our friends at X Network said that they didn't actually execute on what they said that they were going to. And with SEDA, we're hey, there's no lock-ins. You can cancel it monthly. We can spin up or spin down horizontally and vertically the infrastructure to give you the speed and frequency that you need, or make it as slow and sort of lazy updates as you need. So being able to have a tailored infrastructure is really powerful. So for all the EVM chains, we can add a new EVM chain in a matter of minutes. For alt VM, it really depends on the smart contract language. I mean, we're working with some networks that are built-in derivatives from Rust, as an example. They just require an audit. We're not going to push anything to production without an audit. So we would rebuild some of these prover logics into Rust and into Move and Fuel and Go and a few others to help expand some of these alt VMs. But in general, I think our focus will be majorly in the beginning, just going out to EVM networks that are there and ready for our data. So a lot of L2s, A lot of L1s are EVM compatible, and then from there, sort of slowly cherry picking different alt VMs that we want to support as well. So Solana and Near are going to be high up on that list as an example with Rust. And so yeah, you'll stay tuned for more sort of announcements with alt VMs. But with the EVM side, we can scale very quickly, and we see a lot of demand there as well right now.
Yeah, you touched on a really interesting point there, which is building feeds that are suitable for the use case, right? And one of the big narratives is that like low latency and speed is really important. But I think what we're finding is that it's a very use case dependent situation, and often being quick isn't the actual main metric that you want to be building for. And there's other things that you need to pay attention to that are actually much more important. Can you maybe touch on looking at sort of building feeds for use cases as opposed to building use cases for feeds?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the traditional model is like a buffet of data, right? So it's sort of like a self-serve, like, hey, here are the options. Here's what you can consume. If you need something different, like you're gonna have to wait a long time and pay us a bunch of money. With SEDA, the feeds are actually tailor built to the use case that's needed. So there's no plug and play. There's no like, hey, here's like the 20 assets we have available for you on this chain. And we see this all the time, right? So Oracle's will claim, hey, we're live in this chain. And then you go look on their actual contract, on their price feed, and they have like 3 assets that are updated every 24 hours, even though they claim, millisecond latency with thousands of assets. Like in reality, it's like 3, and they're updated every hour, and sometimes they miss updates, right? And so with SEDA, we say like, hey, any API, any data provider that you want, you can build that custom feed. You can build it to exactly your use case. You can deploy this, in a permissionless way. You can update it. You can, set data provider fees, like whatever you want to do, and basically create like a fully powerful, extensible sort of model for, programmable data, right? So I think this is sort of where we really help to come in for these protocols that need a very specific thing. And I mean, DeFi in 2021 was a little bit more, in the context of like, hey, here are these like 5 assets, like Bitcoin, ETH, USDC, USDT, DAI, right? And these are the 5 assets, feeds you needed basically. Now, there's millions of tokens that are being pushed out and built all the time. And we have, one team that's building perps on, pump.fun right now. So every time a pump.fun token graduates, a user can automatically create a new bonding curve to basically build a perpetual market on top of, pump.fun tokens. So think Hyperliquid for pump.fun. And, you just can't do that with an existing Oracle, right? Like there's no Oracle that you could say like, hey, can we create millions of, data feeds for these markets, immediately as they come out? And the Oracle would say like, sure, for like $100 million, like we might be able to do that. And in reality, they can't. So, our infrastructure and our technology allows, as soon as the token goes live, we can aggregate that, index that, and have that live as a price within SEDA. And no other Oracle can compete with that type of flexibility and programmability.
Yeah, the speed in which things change in the crypto world, you need an Oracle that can keep up to date with what's going on, right? Like you can't wait 6-9 months for something that happens on pump.fun. You've missed the boat. It's way too late. So there's just entire use cases that you just talked about that could never come on chain because they could never be realized. The infrastructure just doesn't exist. So it is really a 0 to 1 change in the game. We just got a question from Sonoy who's asking about for all the builders that have deployed Oracle programs on testnet, if they'd like to now deploy the same programs onto mainnet, what does the sort of process look like?
That's a great question. Actually, I'm not sure about. I don't believe the Oracle program ID would be the same. I believe it'd be a fresh. I can ask right now. When you deploy an Oracle program from testnet to mainnet, it'll be a new Oracle program ID, correct?
If it's the same bytecode, it will be the same Oracle program ID.
There you go. So if it's the same bytecode, then it'll be the same ID on mainnet. Thanks.
Straight from the source. I love it.
It's nice when the whole team's in one office. We can just rattle off questions. No need for Slack. It's a much nicer feeling.
Speaking of the whole team, I might go and find our BD boys and get them to say.
Oh yeah, you want to go?
I'll go. You talk. Let me
All right,
find them.
sounds good. So Ben's on a little adventure right now. He's gonna go track down the BD boys that have been they're hiding. They didn't want to go live today because they're trying to go through our hundreds of protocols in the pipeline and networks right now to get our plan for the rollout finalized. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Listen, it's a very exciting time for us. We're ready to execute. the hard work starts now, right? Like building this has been a super, long and busy process, but now, the real work starts that we're now pushing out to a bunch of networks and pushing a bunch of use cases live. So we're super exciting. Maybe I'll touch really quick on the rollout one more time, just so anyone listening who has questions. So we just hit a threshold of 80% validators basically adding their signing key for batches. The overlay network will be onboarded. Basically there's no timeline, like as soon as possible, right? So we have, basically the overlay nodes that are going live. We have basically, the validators that are giving in their like public key and their like overlay identity. And then from there, we'll be ready to start having Oracle programs and data requests go live on the SEDA network. So, I think for us, we're super excited to execute on this last final step. And, from here forward, now it's just sort of, the proof will be in the pudding. We're just executing,
I went looking for the BD boys and I lost our Wi-Fi signal, so I quickly came back because I didn't want to lose the stream. But I might go on and grab them individually. Otherwise, if there's any other questions, chuck them in the chat now. Looking across X, Telegram, Discord. Otherwise, we can look to wrap pretty quickly. Peter, unless there's any other bits and pieces you want to touch on?
No, from my side, just super excited. I'm really excited to see a bunch of cool use cases go live. Very excited to see a lot of, really awesome builders create totally new feeds. Also now we're going to be much more aggressive on the timeline. We hate, basically, when you have a ton of people talking really loud about a product before it's live. I think that our team has tried to be quite restrained with how bullish we are on SEDA on the timeline. In general, we wanted to make sure that the product lived up to our expectations for what we were basically pitching. And I think that the most recent testnet and now the mainnet will really demonstrate how powerful SEDA is. So I'm very excited to now also start to benchmark SEDA a bit more publicly, how we actually stack up to existing oracles, and then just start to see things go live. It'll be exciting to see all of these new use cases that can pop up, like perps on pump.fund tokens that were never possible before. Whole team, we have not the whole team, we have a little bit less than half the team in Europe right now altogether, until I think Friday morning, something like this. And then we'll all be flying out, back home. And then, I think we're all just like getting ready. We have another offsite in November, so that'll be the next time that we're all together as a full team. And so just be building until then.
Awesome. We've got display picture Seb. I like the new face to camera style. We did just lock in a podcast this morning, so nothing that's announced yet, but stay tuned because we'll be ramping up all things marketing and outgoing. Can't wait for new feeds on Mainnet from devs. Yeah, 5, me neither. It's a super exciting time. The whole team's pumped. Vibes are very high at the moment. So excited to continue with the V1 rollout, and we'll keep updating you on X as we go. Awesome. All right. Unless there's anything else, Peter, let's.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're all super excited, and also thank you for those who watched live. Yesterday as our mainnet went live. It was a very exciting and nerve-wracking time for the whole team. We were all nervously watching the blocks, waiting for a new block to be produced, and it was a very exciting time to see this functionality go live. So thank you so much for everyone who's been on the journey with us so far. Also, even back to the Flux days, we're building, first-party Oracle infrastructure. We're very happy to have you in our community. We're very happy to be building, now this new iteration of Oracle infrastructure, and super excited for the future for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.